The 1890s, an auspicious era for the beginning of great American traditions. It was during those years that Babe Ruth was born, who would go on to make baseball an American tradition. Jack Dempsey, one of the greatest of American boxing champions. The American Bowling Congress was formed, the first professional football game, the first U.S. Open Golf Championship. And in Los Angeles, the first Chinese-American festival. The organizers of the annual Fiesta de Flores parade asked the Chinese community if they would join the celebration. They were willing, but Chinatown then was only a small community of 2,000 inhabitants, and they had no dragon. That invitation for the Chinese community to join the Fiesta de Flores parade came a little over a century ago. And even though the community was small, they rallied together and found a dragon in Marysville. The dragon was then transported to Los Angeles for the city's first Chinese-American parade, a parade that has continued to this day. The original Chinese New Year's parade, as celebrated in China, is the oldest festival in the world. It has also been referred to as an everlasting spring. In Chinese mythology, dragons were believed to be rain deities.
Rain is very important for an agricultural country. China has always been an agricultural country, so there's a lot of myth.
China's sweeping landscape is one of the greatest agricultural wonders of the world. Its vast population has traditionally lived off the land. Thus, the mystical dragon became a potent source of power for the farmers who depended upon the arrival of rain.
The Chinese from very ancient times worship dragon, particularly when they need of having rain.
In late January and early February of each year, Chinese farmers would prepare the soil, sow the seeds, and perform a dance to honor the mystical dragon in the hopes of bringing rain to their crops.
In order to have a good harvest, or the so-called good year, so they parade dragon.
This ritual invocation of the dragon was the origin of the Chinese New Year festival. The mythical creature became such a potent symbol that an early emperor in need of prestige turned himself into a dragon.
About 2,200 years ago, the founder of the Han Dynasty, one of the very important dynasties of China, came from a humble family. And in order to justify his ruling of the country, he had to create a story.
The sky was overcast, and there was thunder and lightning.
His mother had a dream about a dragon, and after the dream, she became pregnant. So it means that he, the founder of the dynasty, was in fact originated from a dragon. And from then on, dragon is symbolic of the emperor.
The emperor occupied the dragon throne, wore dragon robes, slept in the dragon bed, and only the emperor could use the dragon as a symbol.
The emperor took possession, and then they forbid anybody else to use the symbol dragon.
But no symbol as potent as the dragon could remain the calling card of any one emperor or dynasty. Instead, it has become the voice, the vision, and the wisdom of the oldest living civilization on Earth.
The spirit of dragon, I think, is more important, is basically is an up spirit, and also make the Chinese very proud of being the descendants of the dragon.
The dragon, however, isn't the only fantastic creature showcased in the Chinese New Year's parade.
The lion symbolizes life, luck, and virility. Many talented troops of acrobats do the lion dances at homes and business establishments, especially in our Chinese community. The lion has a long history. Dancers would do these lion dances in front of these homes and businesses, and the people would entice the lions with money hung on a string or on a stick, entice them to come do a special dance for them to bring them good luck and good fortune. And then firecrackers are set off to frighten away evil spirits, and only the good spirit and good luck and good fortune remains. Therefore, any special occasion, especially like the New Year celebration, a lion dance is a must.
Okay, swing it all the way here. There you go.
Jeff Chan is a lion dancer. Recently, he acquired new ceremonial lions from China for the Golden Dragon New Year's Parade.
Facade, I went direct to the factory where they manufacture the stuff. Oh, wow. All done by hand. The ears of the lion, ears. And they're all sitting doing certain things. One is making the frame, and one is making the ear, one is making the mouth. So everybody have a certain job, because not one particular person builds a dragon or lion from scratch to the finish.
Now, after many twists and turns, the mythical protectors have arrived at Dragon Mountain in Monterey Park and will soar to new heights in Jeff and his son, daughter, and friends' talented hands. Jeff is like many performers of traditional Chinese folk art, who have taken it upon themselves to translate the Chinese tradition into a new idiom, the Chinese-American experience, which started in Los Angeles a little over 150 years ago. In 1850, 69 years after the founding of Los Angeles, the United States Census recorded 2 Chinese male house servants, Ah Tho and Ah Lup, among the small Los Angeles population of 1,610. By 1870, the Chinese population had grown to nearly 200. Most were restricted to settling into a rundown area just southeast of the plaza, creating the first Chinatown in Los Angeles. This small community was made up mostly of young single men who found in the family associations of Chinatown a home away from home.
The men who were here formed traditionally a bachelor society. So many of them have left a great personal sacrifice, and they missed home a lot. And so one of the things that was so important to them was the association, which provided not only a gathering place, but a moral support for the workers who were here, but most important, they were the ones who were the facilitators of the various festivals. This is very typical of a family association. Actually, it's a regional association. And as you can see, they have their own lion heads, and these will be used during the Lunar New Year time to perform in the streets. This is a place where the men would gather, and later, of course, more recently, the women would. Very typical, it would be just like being a Rotarian and coming to a place and coming to your Rotary meeting constantly, or if you're a Shriner or you're an optimist or a Mason, for example, this is the place that you would gather and find camaraderie, friendship, as well as support.
Near the turn of the century, and for the next several decades, the Chinese population in Los Angeles stabilized at around 2,000. Families began to grow as Chinese women arrived. In the mid-1930s, all of Old Chinatown east of Alameda Street was torn down to make way for Union Station. Those who left Old Chinatown moved to the 900 block of North Broadway and developed New Chinatown.
Originally, this temple, which is a Taoist temple, was located in the old Chinatown in the plaza area. And it was brought over here in the 1950s, actually, when they built this building. This is very typical of what someone would do. They would say a prayer or ask for blessings, for prosperity, good health, children, grandchildren for the new year.
Today, Chinatown has grown far beyond the boundaries of the 1930s and 40s. New shopping plazas have sprung up. And to mark the entrance to Chinatown, a new gateway.
We are planning to build a gateway. It's the entrance of Chinatown. It will be across Broadway. The gate is two dragons looking at each other and trying to grab the pearl. That gateway is going to be break ground in early of February.
The construction of the new gateway reflects Chinatown's vigorous and growing community that comes together each year for the Lunar Festival. A celebration that is rich in Chinese and American culture. From marching bands to a Miss Chinatown competition. The Chinese New Year occurs usually in the first 2 weeks of February. The exact date is determined by the Chinese lunar calendar, which sets the date according to the new moon for the first month of the new lunar year. But preparations for the celebration begin much earlier.
45 left. 45 right. Step straight up.
These are the young lions, new dragons of the Chinese-American tradition. They are training for the Chinese Lunar New Year's festival.
Shift forward. Step up cat. Slide back to cat. Exchange feet. Cut.
Vince, Jeff Chan's son, is carrying on the family tradition.
My first encounter with the lion is probably the day my parents brought me home from the hospital. Apparently, been around me all my life before I was born, and it's probably be around after I die. Okay. When you're moving, you want to keep the mouth shut, and when you step out, then pop the mouth open. Okay? You understand? Okay, step up left horse, shut the mouth, step up. Our group's called Awakened Lion Club, which means it's awake, it's alive. Want to move around, jump around, but under control. Not wild where they'll hit and knock things over. Pretend you're a cat. The way it stalks a prey or food, that's how I want you to react. Be very cautious when you're approaching something you're not sure of, and be excited when it's happy. So this shows you different characteristics and personalities in it.
The movements of the lion are based on the powerful and sometimes mystical teachings of Kung Fu.
A lot of the Chinese styles have animal forms, so a lot of our footwork in movement moves like an animal. We have a tiger form, so basically that would use footwork would be very similar to the movement of a lion. As you're stalking something, you would be able to control where your feet are, being able to advance, moving sideways, so it's directly related. Kung Fu encompasses a lot more than just a fighting end. I think anybody that is proficient in the Chinese style, this crosses over to whatever else you do. Everything you do and everything that I do has a structure to it, and I think it all comes from my martial arts training.
While these young lions and dragons prepare for the Lunar New Year's festival, a vast array of clever and subtle forms of auspicious expression can be found everywhere in the Chinese-American community. Starting with hongbao, red envelopes filled with lucky money.
Hongbao is in Mandarin. Cantonese is called lai xi. This is a luck money for kids to spend. Mostly parents give it to the unmarried children. And if the children married, they have to turn around and give the hongbao back to the parents.
The kitchen god is the deity to whom all the family members report to each year. And some of the images of the kitchen gods in the family homes and businesses are smeared with honey over their mouths so that the kitchen god will report to heaven good things and good tidings and make good reports on the family members.
The kitchen god gets honey, and kids get hongbao. But everyone gets long life when another type of Chinese god is at work. Watch carefully as the dough is transformed into long strands of the very magical vermicelli noodles. These noodles that are emerging before your eyes, if eaten without being cut, will, according to Chinese tradition, extend your life. The history of China is filled with magic potions, secret rituals, and practical advice on how to live longer.
There are, in general, 3 ways of achieving longevity. One is doing exercise. The other is through success. And the third one is eating the adequate food.
Extending life, happiness, and prosperity during the New Year's celebration can be achieved by eating foods that, because of their shape, color, and name, have a similarity to a lucky word or phrase.
Right here we have the chicken, and it's served including head and tail, and this notes that you start and you finish everything, and everything in between is with good luck and prosperity. Over to the side of the chicken, we have these vegetables, which are especially grown for the Lunar New Year. They're grown once a year, and basically this is to indicate an abundance of children for couples.
The fish is yu, which means fish, but yu is also a homonym for abundance, and so you will always find the motif and the images of a lot of fish or someone holding a carp. A carp is lei, which is prosperity, and so you will have an image of a child or a man pulling a carp from the water, in other words, bringing abundance to you.
My favorite part of the fish happens to be the cheek, which may sound kind of odd, but the meat in the cheek of the fish is my favorite. Another dish prepared for the New Year's are dumplings. Over here we have steamed dumplings. We also have fried dumplings. And many times in some parts of China, the dumplings are prepared with an egg wrapping rather than a clear wrapping like this. And this represents gold, because in China the gold isn't actually like bars like we have over here, but the gold is actually like a gold ingots. Sometimes the dumplings are filled with meat, and they're also filled with other surprises such as peanuts. And the peanuts in Chinese are fa san fa chong san gao, which means long life. I have made dumplings at home. We usually make them throughout the entire year. They're always better homemade.
Now, one thing that you don't want to have during the New Year or serve it at any dinner parties at all are squid. And fried squid especially is very unlucky, because fried squid is hao yao yu, which is fried squid. But the expression hao yao yu means to lose your job, so you certainly do not want to serve that anytime during the New Year. The reason for this, many of the workers in the early part of the Chinese heritage here in America was that they were temporary workers, and everyone had a sleeping bag or a sleeping roll that they would roll up. So if you lost your job, you would have to roll up your sleeping bag and go off to someplace else. And so Taoyou is just like the squid. When the squid is raw, it's flat. However, when it's cooked and fried, and the minute it curls up, it is just like that sleeping bag. So the symbolism there is that you're losing your job, you have to roll up your sleeping bag, and off you go to someplace else.
Some of the desserts served throughout the New Year consist of jindoi, which is a fried dumpling, often filled with lotus paste or red bean paste. It's a sweet dessert, and it means a lot of wealth and stacking up gold and money in your house. Jindoi, doi in Chinese means to fill up your entire house with wealth. On this side we have red dyed pumpkin seeds called guazi in Chinese, and this, when people come to your house for the New Year's, they'll take a lot of them, meaning wealth and prosperity to your friends and neighbors.
The first 3 days you visit your friends, your relatives, and wish them Happy New Year. And they'll serve you a sweet dish. A dish usually is just sugar water, but inside they have lotus seeds. Now, lotus seeds in Chinese means 领吉. 领吉, 领, 2 words. 吉 is seed, but 吉 also means sun. 领 means continuous, so you have a lot of suns. So this is all good luck.
New Year's greetings, salutations, and well wishes are written on red paper for good luck. Spring couplets are one of the traditional forms of written holiday greetings. They are typically placed on the entrance of the home, on each side and above the door. The origin of spring couplets dates from early Chinese history.
About 2,500 years ago, the Chinese normally would have 2 door gods or door deities, one on each side. And this later on developed into just painting on the doors, and then some inscription or writing being added to the portraits, and they developed into the present day couplets.
It's believed that the first spring couplet to decorate a doorway was written by the 10th century emperor Meng Zhang. The new year brings in overflowing good fortune. The great festival is named Everlasting Spring. The art of the spring couplet is its ability to convey beauty and balance by the use of 2 rhetorical parallel lines that have contrasting words and ideas.
Feng tiao yu shun song zhou sui. Da ji da li ying xing chun.
The poetic structure of the spring couplet is a good example of the pragmatic outlook on life found in Chinese culture.
The Chinese are very pragmatic, very pragmatic. The Chinese way of thinking, that is the so-called symmetrism or symmetry. They always think from 2 different angles. The idiom we say thinking from left and from right. That means that the antithetical or the symmetrical approach of a certain thing by the Chinese, which is of course related to the couplets.
收比南山，复入东海。
Spring couplets turn the entrance of a home into an expression of beauty, prosperity, and good luck. Another form of holiday greeting for the new year is an example of humor and wittiness, Chinese style.
This is the symbol for fuk or fu, for good fortune. And some Chinese like to turn it upside down, and then they say fuk Do, doju means turn upside down. Do also sounds like arrive, and so they turn the symbol upside down to show that good fortune has arrived or is arriving.
These are only a small number of the many events that have come out of China's past to become great American traditions. Every year, the celebration is a new experience with many surprises. But for all that can be said or read about the festival, the only way to really appreciate the Chinese Lunar New Year is to be there.
We welcome thousands and thousands of people throughout the community to join us to bring in the good luck, to celebrate the new year and the good fortune together.
我恭祝所有海外嘅華人身體健康，萬事如意，財源滾滾來，恭喜恭喜！
Enjoying auspicious foods during the Lunar New Year's festival that speaks to the body and the mind creates a bond of good fortune and prosperity that lasts throughout the entire year.
风声雨声杜书声，声声入耳。家事国事天下事，事事关心。
Color red is the protection from evil, so be sure to wear lots of red for the Lunar New Year.
Start for 3 days. Prepare to come for a feast. This is going to be thousands of people coming, and we also have a lot of performance. We have a lot of shows, and this is going to be another Rose Parade. Better.
A visit to the Chinese-American Lunar New Year's Festival is not a trip into the past, but a step into the future.